can read the treble clef rather easily, but then the bass clef. It all seems so complicated, and why can't it just be like the treble clef? This is just a reflection of what we're seeing up there. And I can prove it to you by showing you that, right? That looks just the same as that. Hi, this is Brett with Piano Aha. Today we want to talk about bass clef. So you are playing pieces and you can read the treble clef rather easily, but then the bass clef, the left hand, and it all seems so complicated, and why can't it just be like the treble clef, and I can't remember what I'm supposed to do? I'm here to tell you that it's a lot easier than you might think, and a lot more like the treble clef that you can already play. Let me show you what I mean. So, you know already about the treble clef. In other words, everything that I'm drawing here, you're already aware of. So you know this C, this middle C. You also know this note, which is also a C, and ideally you also know this note, which is also a C. But you say that everything that happens down here in this sort of underwater world of the unknown, that you don't know how to read anything here. And what I would like to tell you is that it's not such a new world. It's not that much different. It might be a lot easier than you imagine. Imagine, since we called this an underwater world, that this really is a water line here. And what we want to learn today is everything underwater. Now imagine a light shining from above and reflecting everything here above this water line down here onto the water. What would that look like? That would look something like this, right? This is just a reflection of what we're seeing up there. And I can prove it to you by showing you that, right? That looks just the same as that. Now these are the C's. We have the advantage that the C's are symmetrical about this middle C right here. Now, how can we use that to our advantage? Well, I would like to say that as long as you have these C's, then you can read the bass clef just like you do the treble clef. For example, if you see in the treble clef this C, which is just this C here, right? And you see something like this, then you probably realize it is not important to say, oh, that is a C, and that is a, let me think, that is a D, and that is a, let me think, that's an E. You can just say, I know that that's a C, and the notes go up. Well, you can do the same thing in the bass clef. You know that this is a C, and in this case it's this C. And you see these notes here. So what do? Well, you know where the C is, and the notes go up. In the treble clef, let's say something like this. Sure, you could say, oh, that is an A, and then every good boy does fine, and this is a little below that in the face, and this is an E. Or you could just say, right, as you probably do, this is a C, and since these are just spaces, then I'll just play the notes around them, right? I left out the line notes, right? Right, so if we see something that only has spaces, that means I'm just skipping over the line notes, so it would look like this, right? The same thing applies in the bass clef. If I know that this is a C, then if I have this, I say, oh, well, C's in the middle, and it's just, let's call it a snowman, right? It's just this. So let's look at some examples from some sheet music. Let's say, for example, you wanted to play this here. Well, how would you do that? Well, you see that the highest note here is just right below this C that we already know, right? That's our middle C. So we're one below that, and then we have a bunch of spaces. So that's a snowman, right? It must be that. How about another example? What about if we wanted to play this here? Well, we see that this note here is just one above what our middle C would be. It must be this note. And we have a snowman. Right? So we didn't have to read, oh, that is a, wait, it's a bass clef, so that must be a G and a B. We're just reading relatively, right? We see that this is a snowman, we know where one of the notes is, we find the rest. Let's look at another example. Yeah, let's say we have something like this. Now we might think, oh, there are 3 different things, I have to find them all. Well, let's just sort of press them together in our minds. This is one thing. I recognize one of the notes, right? This C is in the middle. They're all on lines, so must be that. Now, you might be thinking, oh, but these are such simple examples. Could we not look at a more difficult example? Sure, how about something like this? We have a C, and then we have the line below it, and then the next line below that we don't have, right? That is not there, but we have the note below that. Well, that's just this. It's sort of a snowman whose foot is, let's say, a little bit too low, right? And then when you play it, of course, you play it just like it's written there. So in other words, I'm quickly able to find everything I need just by having the C's as reference points and thinking together in groups. We'll look at another example. Maybe we have something that's seems a little more complicated. What if we did this here? Now we see that we have a C, and that line below it we don't have, but the line below it we do have. So that looks like a sort of a snowman without a belly, also known as a fifth, right? That's this. And we have the same thing again, and then the same thing again, and then this one note goes up and the other one stays, and then it goes down, and this one goes down. Now we add a note here, right? Otherwise these were the same, but we added a note. Now here, for the next one, we see again, we have a space and a space and a space. So that must look like this, but since the middle one gets a sharp, we read that, and this note just is the same. So, to summarize, we just need to have some reference points, right? And those are the C's. If you know where the C's are in the treble clef, since they're symmetrical, then you know where these C's are in the bass clef. And as a second point, you just need to read in small groups and read as the notes go up and down, that you also play up and down, just like you do in treble clef. If you see 2 notes that are both in spaces, well, then you just play every other piano key because you leave out the note that's on the line, right? Relative reading, just like you do in treble clef. In any case, thank you for watching this video, and happy ahas.